Hey everybody, how's it going? So just to hop on live, and if if this is your first time hopping into the live stream, basically we just kind of preview the series before and then answer questions after that. So big thing tonight is that Reese Neer is going to be starting his MLB debut. So super exciting stuff from him. He's the number 12th ranked prospect right now for the Padres, and I think that he throws a mid 90s fastball, changeup, and then a slider. So that's kind of what you'll expect from him. He's looked pretty good in Double A, former 20th round pick. So a guy, and that was back in only 2018. So he's got through the system pretty quickly. So hopefully he looks good today. I really hope he does, because if that's the case, and also Chase will be on here. Chase is actually on right now. So he's going to be one of those guys that could potentially get moved. So if he looks good today, I mean that could be what happens, but we'll see how he looks. And if he doesn't, if he does look good and they decide not to move him, the Padres need arms desperately right now. So hopefully that's the case. But Isaac, how you doing, man?
You're muted, buddy.
I know, just saw. I'm pretty excited for the series just because we just came off of what I said was a roller coaster of a series against the Nationals. So I'm hoping to see some really good baseball, especially out of some really good pitching out of the pitching staff. Reese Nair making his debut today. Very excited to see it. His name's kind of been thrown around. I've seen in the community a couple of times, mainly as like a bullpen guy. But today he's making the start, which is pretty cool to see. We know Musgrove is going tomorrow, and I don't know who's going the next day. But hopefully the pitchers really pick it up, because we really need the pitching to pick it up. We saw in the National Series they were really, really struggling out there. They could not find their groove. Even Darvish had a bad day, which is very rare. And that's how you kind of know, like, this pitching staff, it's tough right now. So hopefully they'll find their groove here soon.
It might end up being Miguel Diaz just called up with Near. Oh, I know he's kind of just been like the long relief, but he just might be a start, and it might be a bullpen day since the All-Star break is coming.
Yeah, it might be Weathers.
They have Weathers slated, but we'll see how long if they stretch them out or not, because sometimes they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And it might just be like the piggyback thing again.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if you guys saw, Austin Nola is back in AAA, and he will be back after the All-Star break. That kind of flew under the radar, I feel like, on Padres Twitter and just like throughout Padres social media. I think that's huge, because if you have Caratini and Nola, that is a really good catching duo. We've seen how great Caratini has been as a starter, and if you change that up and he becomes the backup, and then you have a guy like Nola who can hit 280 plus, provide a little bit of pop, and be like a really, really good 7 and 8 hitter, I think that helps the lineup a ton. You saw last series, the Padres were able to win 2 games when they didn't get a single good start from any of their pitchers. And that was because everyone in the lineup was hitting. So Austin Nola definitely helps that a lot, because that just makes the lineup that much more complete. Anything that you guys want to say on him?
It's going to be huge to get Austin Nola back. Nothing against any of the catchers right now. Webster Rivas is batting under 200, but he's a serviceable catcher. Nothing against him. He's caught some really nice games. He's he's had a couple home runs here and there, some clutch moments, I guess, but not really a special hitter. But I don't expect him to be a special hitter. But Victor Caratini, we call him Victor Clutchatini because of how many clutch moments he's had in the league so far, or with the Padres so far. However, even if he wasn't hitting very well, we got to understand, like, he's Yu Darvish's personal catcher. So no matter what, even if he's not hitting well, he serves a big role on this team. And he's kind of expanded from being just Caratini's personal catcher to being Joe Musgrove's favorite catcher, being a couple of these guys' favorite catcher. The way he's handled the staff, he's handled them very well. But having a bat in Austin Nola down batting 8, we see the power he has. We saw the one series here. I don't know how many series. I forgot how many series he played. I want to say it was one against the Cardinals. He had a huge bat. He brought in a lot of RBIs. And he had a really good series. So, getting another bat in the lineup that's as impactful as Austin Nola would be huge.
Not only that, I don't think you guys mentioned it, but he just is versatile. He can play anywhere in the infield and the outfield except center field, because I would not feel safe putting him in center. But if one of the outfield guys needs a break, you can put him there. If any of the infield guys need a break, you can put him there. If Caratini needs a break, you can put him there. He just plays anywhere. And so like I guess you can say, you can hit, they'll find a position to put you in, and Nola is the definition of that. So, you know, even though he's mainly a catcher, he's not just going to catch. He'll play second, he'll play third, he'll play the outfield if they need him to, just to give guys a break and just to get his bat in.
Yeah, so the Rockies starting pitcher tonight, someone said it's Freeland. Freeland hasn't been that great lately. Then Marquez is Saturday against Musgrove, and then Sunday is Weathers against Gray. So Gray was out for a while. He was a guy that we actually talked about potentially moving for earlier in the year. It's always weird if you trade inside the division, but that could potentially be a guy that they try to move for. I don't know if the Rockies would be willing to trade with the Padres just because interdivision trades are pretty rare. Also, we have a couple of questions about trades, about Paddock, some stuff about the Cubs. We'll get into that stuff a little bit later. But anyone specific in the lineup for this series that you guys want to see look really good?
Myers.
I had a feeling Chase would say Myers. In the lineup, no, I think everyone's looking really good. Tommy Pham's still looking good. If we go down from top to bottom, Pham is looking good. Tatis is looking good. Cronenworth looks good. Manny, Hosmer doesn't. I mean, he's had 15 solid games. He's batting over 300 in those last 15 games. So I guess he looks good. Will's starting to come around. So I think I'm going to go with the depth piece and somebody off the bench that I would want to see, excel. And I'm going to go Jerickson Profar. I want to see him. And this isn't my breakout. Like, this isn't my MVP of the series. It's just someone who I want to see impact this team because his at bat, he always has really good at bats, but he doesn't hit for much power. He's starting to find the holes, but hopefully he starts hitting for more power this series. I want to see him get on a ton, and I want him to show why we brought him back. I want him to show that he's an on-base machine, that he's able to get on base when we need him. He's able to come in and clutch moments when we need him. And I want him to be the depth piece that we wanted.
Yeah, that's understandable. If Kim gets his at-bats, I'm hoping Kim can kind of show us that he's developing further along into the league if we're going to bring up depth pieces, because I know some people are like, we should trade Kim or we should try to send him down, but I think the spark that Kim provides either on defense or when he does something good on offense is too valuable to the team that it can't be just seen on like a scorebook or a stat, because we've seen it like when Ha-Seong Kim gets a home run. Do you guys see how hyped and riled up the dugout gets for that man? It's just something incredible, and you can't take that away from the team.
Yeah, and then for Kim, it was already kind of said, I think. I don't know if you said it, but there is a clause also in his contract. He can't be sent down either way. But if he can start like continuing to build on his offensive performances, because he's looked spectacular on defense. The only reason I think we brought it up a while back. I think it was not the episode you were on, Chase, and we were talking about is like, should he be sent down? Is that a possibility? I think the only reason that we were talking about that was just because we can see like how talented he is, and he just doesn't get to play every day, unfortunately. That's what happens when you have a stacked infield. But he's a guy that, like, if he's able to develop his skills, he could be a really, really good player. He's already a very, very valuable bench bat. I would only recommend it's not like they can even do it, but I would only recommend sitting him down for like a month or two, just to kind of let him get some development. A couple of the people that were brought up that could really like have breakout performances, Hosmer. I would absolutely love to see that. I think you guys would too. And then another person said they want to have Pham keep it up. Pham has been on a tear, and he had I forget which series it was. It was a couple series ago. He didn't really look that great. He didn't really have that great of numbers, but he looked good. Like, his at-bats were really, really solid. So, I mean, I really hope some of these guys start balling out, specifically Hosmer, Profar. Mateo, I don't know about if Mateo's going to break out.
No way.
His approaches have not been good. Okay, here's one. Here's a good question. Someone asked, what's Paddock's trade value? And someone asked about Paddock earlier. I think if you traded Paddock right now, I just think you cannot trade Paddock right now. Like, this is the lowest he's at. And from what we see of Paddock, he might look for like a month. So if you look good for a month and you want to end up trading him late July, I could see that. But I'm not advocating trading Chris Paddock right now at all, just because you're not going to get much at all. I was thinking about this the other day, though, because you guys know I loved Cal. I loved Cal Quantrill a lot. Mm-hmm. Imagine if they would have traded away Paddock in that deal instead of Cal, because I'm pretty confident that they could have moved Paddock in that deal instead of him, because at that time he was probably viewed a little bit as a little bit better player. And I don't know. That was what I was thinking. I was just thinking about that earlier today. I really wish that would have happened though, because I feel like Cal's a great player. I would love to have him on this team right now.
Paddock's trade value, that's kind of tough. I mean, you can't really get much out of him. I wouldn't throw him in if, let's say we were to make a trade for a starting pitcher. I wouldn't want, even if it's an ace, I wouldn't want to put Paddock in that deal, because now you're trading a starting pitcher for a starting pitcher. There's still a glaring hole in that rotation. It's not just one spot in that rotation that needs fixing, because Darvish, yes, he's been great. He's had some rocky outings lately, but we think that's going to change. Blake Snell's decent, really good at home, really bad on the road. Joe Musgrove, streaky. But the two spots, the 4 and 5, between Paddock, Lamet, Weathers, that's two spots that you still need to fill. So I think, if you keep Paddock, and yes, he's kind of streaky as well. He's had some really good starts lately, but he also just had, maybe the second worst start of his career. I think the worst start of his career was that wild card game. But that's just because of the moment, the big moment, you go into the wild card game 1 and you suck. But I don't think we should trade Paddock at all, unless we know we're getting two valuable pitchers. I think Paddock can pick it up. He's gonna have those games where he's not good. That's the kind of pitcher he is, because he doesn't have amazing stuff, but I think he can pick it up.
I wouldn't say Paddock's value is at an all-time low. I think last year Paddock's value was at an all-time low because he was showing the curveball. It didn't fool anybody. It was very kind of early in its development. His control was all over the place. His fastball lacked velocity. His changeup was just meh. I feel like he has more trade value now, even with the bad outings, because he's flashing a third legitimate pitch. And I bet you a team's going to look at that and be like, you know what? I think our pitching coach can fix that. He may have control. He can just do this with his mechanics or tweak this with this release point, and he'll be fine. So I think he has more value now than he did last year. But like as I was saying, if we trade Paddock, we need to get two pitchers out of it, even just because we don't have the minor league depth or the depth coming off of ILs to just be, okay, we can send Paddock away for a better pitcher. No, we can't do that, because then we're still missing somebody, and it's just not going to work out like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that you definitely fair there. Like in terms of trading him after last year, the curveball did not look good at all. And some people are talking about in the chat too. The control is the real issue. The velocity's there. Yes, the velocity's definitely been there this year. That's something that was not the case last year also. Because if you remember, there was some games last year where he was throwing like a 91 per mile an hour fastball. And he's touched 98 this year. He's been pretty consistently 94 to 96, got up to 98 a couple times. And I think that Paddock can definitely improve. This year, he's already made significant improvements from last year. And I think that we would all agree with that. Now, it's hard to say that after you watched him last outing, because he looked horrible. I was at that game. That sucked. I was done in 2 innings. I was like, all right, sweet, man. And then the air to top it off at the end, that was ridiculous. But he's a guy, like, if he can get his control a lot better, and I don't know if that's something that will happen, but if he is able to control a lot of his pitchers better, that can mean such a difference. Because if you notice that last outing, he was all over the place. He hit someone in the first inning, and then he just started hanging stuff. And then you saw Juan Soto take him opposite field and just smoked one. It was just getting brutal. Like, and someone said maybe it's a confidence thing. That definitely could be the case, though. I would say in terms of confidence, I definitely think he's taken strides in that department as well. Just because if you remember some of his comments, not like he was lacking it before. He had a little bit too, but I don't know if he had too much, but he acted like he had too much confidence before, and it doesn't seem like that's the case anymore. He seems a lot more humble. if you guys have read any of AJ Cassavell's recent articles, he talks about it. He says, like, look at this guy. He's made a lot of strides, and the way he's made strides is two players that have really, really taken him under his wing, and those guys are Darvish and Musgrove. So, and if you noticed, Isaac, you brought, I don't know if it was today's segment or it was one that we're posting tomorrow, but you brought it up. Paddock stayed out there after he got completely rocked and then booed off the field. And like he's trying. I think he's working on it. And also, just to say, like, I don't think Paddock's ever going to become an ace pitcher. I really don't. And someone said, like, how long do you want to wait? That's the problem with him. Like, he can't be anything more than a 5-starter right now. And I feel like Isaac, you like Paddock a lot, and I feel like you still feel that way right now, don't you?
Yeah, I don't think he'll ever be an ace. He doesn't have an. I mean, his curveball's starting to come around, but it's not like a fall off the table Clayton Kershaw kind of curveball, which is rare. But I mean, it's not even close to that. His changeup's still really nice. He has good velocity on his fastball, but he doesn't have the accuracy. He can't hit his spots. Like last year, I look at Zach Davies, and Zach Davies isn't good this year. I mean, he's okay this year, but he's not very good this year. But last year, the way he was hitting his spots and painting the corners of the strike zone was like watching art because it was so good. Like he was so good at hitting his spots. However, Paddock, yes, his velocity is there now, but he's not. I mean, it doesn't look like his fastball has crazy movement. But when he's on, he's a very good pitcher. But I just don't expect any like shutout outings. I don't expect him to go 6 or 7 shutout innings. That's not what Chris Paddock is. He's our 4th or 5th starter, and I expect him to go out there and maybe allow three runs max. But you brought it up, the whole confidence thing. Last year, going into that wild card game, he was saying like, "Come on, you guys are crazy. Of course, I'm going to be on the roster for the wild card." And yeah, sure, maybe you were going to be on the roster, but we don't think you should have started game 1. And not only did you make yourself look foolish when you said that, you went out there and pitched one of the worst. I didn't even think it could be that bad, but it was horrible. And so now, you know, he comes on with Tony Gwynn Jr. and he's saying like, you know, that was the worst outing of my life. I never felt so low, and now I want to, you know, now I understand that I'm a 4th or 5th starter, and I'm behind Darvish, Musgrove, Snell, all these guys that have done it before, and that makes me more confident to go out there and produce some good outings. That's what he said. So hopefully he starts coming around on that. It was just one bad outing. Well, not even bad. Bad is pretty an understatement, but hopefully he goes out there.
Real quick to move on from Paddock, because we've been talking about him for a while. A lot of people in the chat are talking about Gore. Chase, do you want to get into bringing up Gore? Because I know that you have a lot to say about that, I feel like.
Yeah, I've been waiting to make a comment. So to clarify, Gore got drafted in 2018 because he's our age and he's just been talked about a lot more. So at first, like, he's been in the system a lot longer. And number 2, he is currently in Arizona. He's not pitching any of the minor league affiliate systems because of a finger blister. And once his blister gets better, they're going to hope being that they can work with him one-on-one and fixing his mechanical issues. So Gore is at least, like, I want to say a few weeks away from potentially even being called up. And yes, I'm fully on board with, hey, bring him to the majors. He needs a change of scenery. Maybe it will click in the majors. The pitching coach might be there. The veteran pitchers can help him like they did with Paddock. Because I feel like that's really what he's missing right now is he doesn't really have someone where he can go to and mentor him outside the pitching coach. And, you know, maybe that guy isn't it. And maybe El Paso isn't the place for him. Bring him out to San Diego. Let him build up from there. I think that's what you need to do, but it's not going to happen for at least another, I'm guessing, 2 to 3 weeks just because of the finger blister incident, and they're not going to do it unless they think he's mechanically sound, which I don't think he is yet. I think he's a couple weeks away from after the blister incident because once he gets some one-on-one work, I think he'll be a lot better.
Yeah. I mean, I like the whole sink or swim mentality. I think it's pretty cool. I want to see him in the bigs. I just think, you know, maybe he does need a little more time down in the minors or maybe in Arizona. Maybe I think September, or not October. I think September is a realistic time frame for when he could come up. We just gotta hope that he goes out there and he excels the way we expect him to. Might be a little risky, but sometimes you got to do it. I see someone said trade Marcano for Kimbrel. We were just talking about Kimbrel before we came on. I'm kind of thinking maybe Preller has already had his experiences with Kimbrel and he doesn't want to go back to that.
Hey, you know what? I like Kimbrel though. He's doing good.
I like Kimbrel too. He's doing really good. Now, I wouldn't be opposed to getting him. But Matt told me, the Dodgers. Who are the other teams that were in it, Matt?
I saw a tweet that basically said like the Dodgers, Astros, and A's were three teams that were potentially looking at him. Because the Cubs are selling. The Cubs are selling hard.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you saw they lost 11 games in a row. So and also
You
someone
know,
brought
also
up earlier
very-
like Chris Bryant. There's so many guys you could potentially trade for on the Cubs right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's so many guys, and I
Cosmo for Rizzo, who says no.
Maybe we go fleece the Cubs again. Who knows? I think that'd be pretty cool. We got Darvish from him. Why can't we get like Kimbrel or I guess Chris Bryant? I think arguably the biggest trade piece of the deadline, and I was reading a bunch of articles on it. It could be Craig Kimbrel. I think every contending team might be in on Kimbrel. So if we're gonna get Kimbrel, and realize that it's a year and a half, I think, of control for him. So it might cost around what the Yankees gave up to get Aroldis Chapman, maybe a little less. But I'd like to see Kimbrel on this team.
Oh,
You guys
Danny
still-
Duffy, huh?
Do you guys still think that Marcano gets traded?
Yeah. I feel like it's inevitable.
There's nowhere for him to play.
Yeah, I think it's inevitable.
I mean, I would rather have Tucapita up there than Mateo. That
Oh my
is
God.
100% for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, you know what? I'd much rather him get traded and continue to sit farm system. As long as he does good in the farm system, he's just adding more to his value, and then hopefully he can just go to another team and either ball out or be like, hey, you know what? We fleeced again. I'm fine with either or. Also, thoughts on Reese Nair? I'm hoping he really does good. We kind of really need him to develop into like, hey, you know what? I can be a fourth starter that goes 6 innings, maybe 2 or 3 earned runs each outing. But hey, I'm going to be that guy that just eats up innings for you because we desperately need that right now. And also, I love Danny Duffy. If they trade for him, I would be very happy about it. Adds another lefty to the rotation, which is needed. A guy that can go innings and a guy that has playoff experience. Perfect guy for the job.
I think Danny Duffy would be pretty cool to have.
Also, real quick on Reese Nair, you brought up him potentially being a guy that could eat up innings, be a 4 or 5 starter. That kind of sounds like our analysis of Chris Paddock. So for anyone that doesn't want Chris Paddock on this roster, that could legitimately be a guy that could take his spot if he looks really good for a few outings. And I think that he could play for the next. I mean, I know we have the All-Star break, but I think he could definitely get a couple starts in the next couple weeks here. Just because if they wait to move until the end of July, because it does seem like AJ's a little hesitant to move before. And I mean, it's on Monday. He definitely seemed hesitant to move before the draft just because he doesn't know what's coming into the farm. So maybe that happens. So I don't know. Isaac, I feel like he wouldn't like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I want to see Chris Paddock succeed really, really, really bad. And he like those successful outings, I'm so happy. But I see a debate. It's Gallo or Chris Bryant. I'm going to give my opinion on it, and I'm with Chase. I would much rather have Chris Bryant. Chris Bryant has an MVP title to his name. He has a World Series to his name. I don't think Joey Gallo's made the playoffs. And Gallo absolutely has a bunch of upside considering he walks a bunch, he gets on base a bunch. But Chris Bryant on this team would be absolutely nasty because it's not like he only plays third base. He's a very versatile player.
Just throw him at first, and I'll be happy.
I like Gallo a little more, just because extra year. Because I think the way I think this team is built, I really like Gallo at hitting too. I think if you have Pham Gallo to lead off the lineup, that is like the best possible 2 guys. Not maybe the best possible, but those are 2 really, really good players to lead off before Fernando, Manny, and Grisham. Like having those 3 guys after those just on base machines, because Gallo leads the league in walks, and like he has been so good in that department. And then also, if you hang a pitch to Gallo, he's taking you 450. And then if Nando's right after that, and then Manny's after that, and then Grisham's after that, like, all right, good luck. Good luck. If you miss one pitch, that's a run every time you go through the order. That's that's kind of my thought of it. Don't get me wrong. Chris Bryant can do the same thing, but you have a whole another year with Gallo. And we've talked about this before. The best year, like the Padres' ideal year that they win a championship has been 2022 for a long time. So you get to keep him for that year. And it would be really expensive to re-sign Chris Bryant. So that's my take on it.
That's
There
true.
is that.
Somebody just said, and I just want to get it real quick. I just want to say one thing. Can we trade the Dodgers out of the division? Adrian, I like seeing them in the division. We've been kicking their ass lately, so I'm perfectly fine with keeping them in here.
We slander Haas a lot because every single one of us and all of you viewers has a more than Haas, just like someone else mentioned it.
Yep, absolutely. Hosmer, yeah, we give him a lot of hate. Cool, he comes up in clutch moments. I think Matt brought it up while we were talking. When you have a bunch of stars in front of you, you have all those RBI opportunities. I sure hope you're going to come in clutch.
Yeah, and also for Haas, because we were talking about this about a year and a half ago. This was for an NFL podcast, but I did a segment basically on why sports moments are overrated in terms of how we view players. And the whole point of the argument was not like, oh, don't enjoy an amazing sports moment. Like that was not the purpose at all. Because don't get me wrong, one of the best moments all year was when Haas hit that 2-run home run to tie the game against the Reds. That was amazing. We all want him to do that. We would love if Haas just completely balls out. But the issue is, if he has a couple of those moments, like let's not take away how many times he's grounded into second base to have it to end an inning where there's two guys on or the bases are loaded and there's one out. And it's like, dude, like, and that's I think why the frustration is there. I've also seen a lot of stuff like, oh, if you're like slandering the players and like you don't want this team to win, I think those are two separate things. Like if you're like, hey, this guy's not performing well enough, he needs to perform better. That's completely different than being like, oh, I don't want this guy to perform. I think every Padre fan wants Hosmer to perform well. I don't know anyone that wouldn't want that. Someone said Hos has been excellent in July. Yes. And I really, really, really hope that keeps happening. Because if he can, I mean, he's way below his career numbers too.
Yeah.
His career numbers are like he has almost like I think it's like a 70 or 80 OPS is usually higher. His average is a little bit down, but he's just not hitting for his power numbers are way down too. Like he's been hitting pretty strictly singles. He did have a home run night the other night. So hopefully he gets it going. I mean, if he gets it going and say they do trade for another outfield bat or whatever, or Myers gets going and he's like a 6 or 7 hitter, or probably a 6 hitter, I would guess. And he is just raking at the right time of the year. That could mean a huge difference. So I'm all for it if Hosmer keeps balling out because he has looked good the last week.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Like I said, I have never been a fan of the Hosmer signing, and I'm still waiting for him to prove me wrong. I want him to. I want him to be like, yeah, I earned this contract that the Padres gave me. I'm that guy, but he just hasn't done it yet. So, it's hard to keep defending a guy when he keeps disappointing to the contract that he signed. We want him to live up to that. We want him to be that guy. We want him to be that leader, the clutch guy, but more times than not, hasn't been, and it's been other guys like Clutchatini. Caratini doesn't hit all that often, but when he does, it feels like it's more clutch than when Hosmer gets a hit.
Yeah, I really want to see Caratini come up clutch. Not Caratini, Hosmer come up clutch and finally start hitting. He actually has been hitting really good, but it's just a matter of like defensively. We know he does have 4 Gold Gloves, but if you look at the advanced stats, he's not a very good defensive first baseman. But I'm not going to hate I hate on him a lot, but I just want to see him succeed. Do we have a pick in the draft? Yes, I believe.
Number 27.
I think we'll pick 27, right? Yeah.
Number 27.
Yeah. AJ does like routine trades.
First baseman. I can't agree there. Defensive metrics are very against Eric Hosmer being a solid first baseman.
I don't know what he's at now, but like a month ago, he had -12 defensive runs saved.
Yeah,
which is really, really bad. I think it might be up a little bit. He's looked better last a little bit after that pop up, but I do think that was kind of weird.
I wish we could agree with you there, Jaime.
Yeah, someone said I would rather have Myers and Hosmer killing it than trade for anyone. Yeah. Absolutely,
That's
especially considering the need at starting pitching.
Mm-hmm. A lot of Padres fans want to trade someone over one bad start, bad game. Yeah, I know. That kind of bugs me a little bit too. Like, yeah, Paddock did have a bad start, but he's had some pretty good starts recently too.
It's hit and miss. It's like a roll of the dice.
Yeah,
50-50. I mean, you know what? He has more of a chance to be good than bad, and I'm okay with taking a couple bad starts out of it.
Yeah, and like baseball, somebody brought it up. Baseball is a roller coaster. You know, throughout the whole season, we're gonna want to see guys gone. We're gonna like, for example, Pham. We wanted that dude gone, and then now we're like, keep him.
I'm more than keep him. I'm full on
Extend him. Extend that guy, dude. I like that guy so much now. Haas does save Tatis a lot. I wish.
I don't know. I feel like it goes the other way more often than not. Because the one thing is sometimes Tatis will throw one hoppers on purpose, and like he'll skip them way ahead, and you're like, because like I don't know. I don't want to keep getting into Haas because I feel like we talk about Hosmer a lot.
Hey, but when we do this, he always goes off.
That is
just
true.
keep slandering.
Yeah, and also we didn't have a YouTube channel last season, but last season we slandered him a bunch, and then he started balling out, right? And then he came back and he like slumped for a week. We're like, Hosmer, like he's back to the old Hosmer, and then he started going off again. We're like, all right, this is the pattern. Let's keep this going. So I forgot that that's the case.
Yeah, definitely.
So we got some other stuff. Someone said, I want to see the Padres in the World Series. Yeah, we definitely all want to see the Padres in the World Series. I think that you must get a starting pitcher.
Oh, yeah, we have to.
I said Kimbrel and Chapman will probably be the only trade closers available. Do not go for Chapman. I swear to God, no. Chapman has a bad record in the playoffs. He's had a bad June, and no. Get me as far away from Chapman as humanly possible.
Mm-hmm.
You'd rather see Iglesias than him, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, I like Rafael Iglesias. I mean, he's had like an okay year, but yeah, he's pretty good when he's on.
I love this comment. If the Dodgers fans want to play the injury card, I'll play the Clevenger and Lamet weren't healthy on the NLDS card. Yeah, every time somebody tells me about how injured they are, I just tell them, like, I thought that wasn't an excuse because that's all they were saying. I was born in San Diego, same.
You was our most consistent pitcher, absolutely. We were talking about it. Well, we have a segment coming out tomorrow on it, and we were talking about how Yu's the one guy. It's like, and he did have a bad outing yesterday, but like for the most part, you know what you're going to get out of him. And then Musgrove is one of those guys where he'll go on a little bit of streaks. Not like he's like terrible or anything, but he'll have a few outings in a row where he's not that great, and then he'll just go completely dominating mode. And we saw that. We've seen that through two stretches this year where he has been outstanding. So hopefully he gets back on that after the All-Star break. Yeah. Someone said after a bad loss, it feels like the end of the world. Oh, yeah, it felt like the end of the world after that 15-5.
I mean, honestly, we don't get to see the Ryan Cohen tweet. Life is better when the Padres win. We don't get to see that, so you know it feels like the world's falling apart.
Okay, one more trade guy, real quick. People have brought up a lot in the chat about Zach Davies. Isaac, me and you were talking about that earlier. What are your thoughts on bringing him back?
He's had a good stretch where he's pitched six innings. He's had like 4 games where he pitched 6 innings in a row. But I don't know what it would take for him. He's only on a 1-year deal. So I loved Zach Davies when he was with us. I really, really liked Zach Davies. He was my second favorite pitcher, maybe third after Lamet and Paddock. But I'm not opposed to it at all. I think it'd be an okay. It wouldn't be horrible. I don't think it's, that it puts us over the top.
I think you'd have to package Davies with someone like a Chris Bryant in order for the Padres to really go for that deal, just because straight up for Davies isn't really worth anything the Padres get, because yeah, you can trade for Davies, but you can also trade for so many other starting pitchers that have better stuff than him and have potential to be greater than Zach Davies, like Sandy Alcantara or Kenta Maeda. When he's on, he's probably a far better pitcher than Davies. There's who else am I forgetting? I know I'm forgetting one other name. Kyle Gibson. I'd probably go over Gibson, though. That's just me.
That makes sense. Gibson doesn't really have a good track record. I see someone saying Davies is an ultimate inning eater, but won't help us too much in the playoffs. I've said it
He will not.
before. I've said it before. Yeah, I completely agree. I've said it before. He'll get you there, but he's not going to win you any big time playoff games. I want to ask one thing. If anybody knows, for anyone who watches the Marty Caswell interviews, they always show the players with those Padres shorts. For anyone who knows where I can get them, let me know. I really want those shorts.
Barrios. I love Jose Barrios, but he's going to be expensive.
Oh, yeah.
How much do you think it'll cost?
I'm
From our
guessing
farm.
one top 5 guy and 2 top 10s and maybe a MLB ready prospect.
Yeah.
So maybe like a Mason Thompson or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can't wait for future Padre Joey Gallo to win the Derby. I'm really excited to see Gallo in the Derby. Are you guys excited too?
Yeah, that's the thing. We'll have to do a. Do we like? I'm gonna have to ask you guys again after the home run derby if you like Joey Gallo trade, because I bet if I ask you right after, you might say a little bit different answers.
If he wins, I'm all for it.
This is about the Luis Castillo comment. I say this the other day. The Padres should have Luis Castillo. He should already be a Padre. I've been wanting to see him in a Padres blue ever since they kind of fleeced the Marlins and then Colin Ray happened. So I've been waiting for Luis Castillo to become a Padre.
He seems like he is a Padre, doesn't he? Like something about him. I remember we were talking about that when he pitched the other day against the Padres. A while back, someone asked about Lamet. I think it was AJ. He asked any update on Lamet's health. Sounds like he's supposed to come back after the All-Star break and be a starter. We do not like the idea of bringing him back as a starter. Chase brought this up before the year started. I think was it before the year started, Chase, that you brought the idea of bringing Lamet in as a closer? Because I love it. I will always be.
A while ago. I just remember mentioning it a while ago. Like, hey, you know what? If he gets hurt again, you can't bring him back as a starter. And then what did they do? He gets hurt again. They bring him back as a starter, and he's hurt again. Are they going to learn their lesson? Probably not. But he would be a really dominant closer. He'd fit a need in the bullpen, and then we just trade for another starter. That way, you don't need to trade the farm for like a Craig Kimbrell, because we all seen what Craig Kimbrell goes for at the trade deadline. It's a lot of prospects. It's a hefty price. We saw what Chapman went for. We saw Eloy Jimenez leave the Cubs. We saw who else was the other guy? Gleyber Torres leave the Cubs for the Yankees for Chapman or for another guy. Yeah, we've seen these major prospects leave. And so trading for an all-star closer is going to cost one of our top 5 guys that we need to replenish, when guys' contracts expire. So, yeah, I think transforming Lamet into a bullpen piece is better for the long term and now, because then you can keep him on the team longer. He's going to be a dominant closer. He's going to be an all-star. More importantly, you trade yourself from having to trade away a very hefty price for a closer when you already got a perfectly good one right there.
I see a lot of people talking about Luis Castillo. I would love Luis Castillo. He
Yeah.
kind of
Love
does
that
remind me of Lamet. I would love to have Luis Castillo.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to do it. Some people are heading off. Game's about to start. I think starting in a minute here, so I think we'll wrap it up. But thanks everyone for joining. Really appreciate it. Really fun to have everyone on, and we'll talk to you guys very soon. Tomorrow's episode is going to be about it's going to be more of a pessimistic episode, I guess, but basically about kind of that we're concerned about the starting pitching and that we think that they kind of have to make a trade for at least one starter, potentially two. So we'll talk to you guys soon. See you, everybody.
There you guys.